Let's talk about why your business shouldn't only have a Google business profile. AKA, back in the day, we used to call them Google Google My Businesses. Now they are Google Business Profile listings, okay? So let's talk about what a Google Business Profile is first, which many of you already know this, but I want to go a little bit deeper here. So on how they work, how they operate, so on and so forth. So make no mistake, if you have like a home service business or a business with a tangible address and you're selling something out of that business from the tangible address, a Google Business Profile is absolutely necessary. Same with if you have a home service business. So that being said, right, it's great to have a Google Business Profile. You absolutely need one. That's a huge piece of the puzzle, but it's not the only thing. In fact, it's, in the big scheme of things, it's just like maybe a quarter of the puzzle, to be honest with you guys. So how do they operate? Well, nowadays, Google Business Profiles are getting harder and harder to authenticate and verify in America. So oddly enough, other countries, Canada, Mexico, anywhere in Europe, much easier to verify. But here in America, this has become basically the spammer capital of the world. And they are just incredibly difficult to get verified. So luckily for us, we just found someone not too long ago that actually works with Google. And we can get Google Business Profiles verified relatively quickly, and it's almost a guarantee every single time. So if your business is having trouble getting your Google Business Profile verified or ranked or anything like that, definitely give us a shout. We can, without question, help you out. So back to Google Business Profiles and why they're important, but it's not the only thing you should do. So how they exactly operate is you're not going to be ranking. First of all, they're only designed to focus locally, right? That is literally what a Google Business Profile is, aka the map pack, all right? So only locally. Now, it used to be where you could rank, 15, 20 miles out. And I think in some cases you still can, but what we're seeing now is for every one Google Business Profile listing, a client or that business can really only rank outwards around 5 to 10 miles from that business for a keyword, right? So the goal is to have dozens and eventually maybe even hundreds of keywords ranked in the top 3 positions on the map pack for this said business owner. But that's only a 5 to 10 mile radius. So for a lot of people, that's not nearly large enough, especially for a lot of home service guys. One of the biggest things that we see problematics wise with our home service clients is they're just, their address or their business is in one place, but they're trying to get business from another place, right? Or they hate the area that they're in, but that's the area you're going to have to rank in, right? You can't really have a Google Business Profile and expect to rank in a completely different city way far away faster than the way on how you're going to rank in the area that your address is connected to. So keep that in mind. That's number one. So when you create a Google Business Profile, I don't care what you have to do. You're going to have a legitimate address. So make sure you have a friend or a family member. We have our own tricks. Just give us a shout if you want to know how to do that or what we got up our sleeves. But you need a legitimate, tangible address that you will be able to verify either through video. I think they have some email stuff now. They have text message stuff now. They still do the mail-in verifications, not so much anymore, but it's a mess. It really is. So make sure when you do create your Google Business Profile that it's in an area or a city that you absolutely want to rank in without question. That's number one, right? And the reason why is because you're only going to rank around 5 to 10 miles from that said radius. So give you an example. We live in Liberty, North Carolina. If I had a home service business, I would not necessarily really want to rank in Liberty because there's not a lot of people here at all, right? So I would want to rank in like Greensboro, Burlington, Siler City, Asheboro, right? So how would I do that? Well, I would create a GBP in one of those said cities, and I would put it smack dab right in the middle of the heart of things, no matter if there was heavy competition or not, because I know for a fact our team can rank Google Business Profiles not only fast and efficiently, but we're writing on average way more content than your average agency. And we don't use AI. It's we do use AI, but we don't allow the AI to write the entire article or content for us. We actually spin that and almost basically do it ourselves. So it's very, very important, okay, again, guys, that you not only have the Google Business Profile, because you need to know what that is. It's localized, right? Only within a 5 to 10 mile radius on average. So there's a few different tricks and methods that we use now to get around that. Give us a shout if you're curious as to how. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm nonstop busy with the team. We have 10 major projects in queue right now. So sorry for all the dinging and the pop-ups and stuff like that. Try not to take too much more of your time here. I just really want to explain this to you guys so everyone really understands that Google Business Profiles are not the end all when it comes to ranking for a business, okay? So e-commerce, that's for a whole different video, but long story short, you really don't even need a GBP with an e-commerce store. And the reason why is not only is that online, but unless you have a brick and mortar connected to that e-commerce, like you're selling things out of that brick and mortar, it's almost pointless, right? It doesn't make a lot of sense. So e-commerce is organic SEO only. Now, again, home service guys, if you have a brick and mortar business, that's number 2, basically. You always, without question, want to rank organically as well as the Google Business Profile section. So super duper important there. They're almost 2 completely separate things, but it's very, very important because nowadays it's very difficult to rank organically compared to the way it used to be, like maybe a year or 2 ago. It wasn't nearly as difficult to rank for a Google Business Profile listing or organically. Now it's becoming harder and harder because everybody's trying to do it. So that's step number 2. Number 3, social media. Guys, 99% of people are failing at social media right now, and the reason why is they're not coming up with solid time frames. They're not blocking off structured time frames for them to build content, post content, come up with thoughtful content, something that's going to orchestrate and really get engaging with people. But it's imperative to have solid content, guys. You have to have something that's, going to be useful to people. And it's also very important to come up with a schedule, right? So like, for instance, the way we normally do our social media for our clients is, one day we might post something funny. The next day we might post something educational. The next day we might do like before and after if it's a home service client. The next day, we might do something just completely outlandish, right? So you want to have a schedule. Something to where you have multiple different ideas. It's not the same thing over and over, and you're not just pushing your product all the time because it gets old. That's super duper important. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Unless you can hire or pay an agency like ours to do it for you, and you're still going to have to come up with the content yourself, but you need to come up with solid video content, right? And either allow an agency like ours to edit it for you, or you can edit it yourself. But you need to be posting content on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, literally almost every day. And it needs to be solid, authoritative content that is driven technically to your niche, right? And it reaches people in that manner. So social media is number 3. And then last but not least, guys, ads, okay? So I'm going to tell you guys right now, ads is one of and it's not really the last thing. There's a couple other things too. I just don't have time to go through them for this video for time's sake. But I'm going to tell you guys right now, ads will be a godsend for home service clients, especially if you're looking to get leads now. Now, there's a multitude of different ways to go about ads, but the long short of it is here, guys, or short long of it, however you want to say it, is that you need to understand most niches. You're going to have to spend at least $20 to $30 a day to get any type of legitimate result from that ad. Right? Spending a couple $100s a month on an ad is not going to do anything for you in 99% of almost every part of the country, right? Unless your product is so outrageously amazing and no one's ever heard of it before, and there's like a new market and no one's doing it except for you, sure, $200 a day. $200 a month, maybe that'll work. But for people that are in very saturated markets and you got to get your name out there, you need to be spending a solid amount of money every single day for your ad spend. But more importantly, you need to be micro testing those ads, which means you need to run about 6 or 7 different ads, completely different ads with multiple different offers. Remember, the offer is everything. If you don't have a 6 solid offer that no one else is offering, or if you don't have something like that, you're throwing your money away. You're taking your money and you're throwing it in the trash. So keep that in mind. So the offer is absolutely imperative. You also need to keep in mind, again, some areas just cost more money. We have a roofer right now that is having to spend $5,000 a month in ad spend, right? But that's because his competitors are doing very close to the same. And there's like 80 to 90 roofers within a 50-mile radius, right? And almost every single one of them has a Google business profile, right? So that's not even including the roofers that are super old school and already have a great name and don't do anything like that. Social media, nothing. They do exist. My mom and her husband, they have an incredible painting company they've built from the ground up over the past 20 years. They're old school. They're booked out 5 months, 6 months in advance, and they are a high-end painting company, and they use virtually no social media, no internet. So it is out there. So you have serious competition that you have to look at. So, cost per average, right? You don't even really need to look at cost per click necessarily or anything like that. PPC. What you really want to try to find is how much does it cost you to, if you're a roofer, for instance, how much does it cost you to get on a roof, right? How much does it really cost you to land a job, landscaper, roofer, whatever it is, right? Cost acquisition. So for a roofer, if I can get you on a roof for, let's say, $500, right? Because it's a saturated area, does that not make sense to you? Like, let's say we had 10 or 15 leads. They were all, half of them were, just, hey, what's your price? And blah, blah, blah. They don't work out. A couple of them are people trying to sell you something. And then a couple people are spammers, right? Guys, that is how leads work. People don't really understand how leads work, right? There is no magic button. There is no, hey, I only want good leads. That doesn't work like that, right? Now, you can create a call center, right? Or you can have someone screen those calls and then only forward you the good ones without question. But now we're talking about more money. We're talking about, implementing another standard operating procedure in your system. So people don't really understand how these things work until they're said out loud and right in your face, right? So again, back to the roof, $500, right? If I can get you on a roof for $500, right? It's a $15,000 roof, which is maybe about average for a lot of areas. And you're getting to pocket like $5,000 of that. Well, that's 10x, right? So does that not make sense? So a lot of the disconnect, I think, comes in play where people think, a lot of home service guys, especially pressure washing. I hate to say it, if you're a pressure washer, no offense, but like, oh my gosh, I've probably had like 30 phone calls over the past 4 or 5 months with multiple different pressure washers. 95% of them can't even show up to the proposal that they wanted originally when they reached out to us, because we don't run ads. We're basically referral based only. So, a lot of these home service niche guys, like you got to start thinking outside the box a little bit. And again, I do not mean to offend anyone, especially, you're a client. We love you. We work great together. You know exactly how we operate, right? But I'm very transparent. I'm going to be very upfront with you on exactly how all this stuff works. So back to the $500 a roof, right? Hell, what if it cost me $2,000 to get you on that roof, right? Now we're kind of getting into that territory where it's just slightly over 2x. So maybe that doesn't make as much sense. But if you're doing a $20,000 or a $30,000 roof and it took me $2,000 to get you on that, would that not be worth it? If you spent $10,000 a month in ad spend and I got you $200,000 in roofs from that, and you were able to pocket, let's say, 50 of that, that's 5x. Would you not be okay with that? Can you kind of see where I'm starting to go with this now? And every niche is different. This is a very long video, so I apologize, guys. But it's different for every niche, right? Pressure washing, landscaping, all these things are different, and a lot of times it's cheaper, right? We have a young man who runs, he's like 19, 20 years old, runs his own landscaping business, literally just graduated high school. He hired us. He's taken his college education money, hired us, and now he is crushing it. He is 4 months in, and he's getting about 1 to 2 leads per day on a tier 1 budget, which is a lower budget. So we're doing SEO for him and ads, right? So guys, it really just depends on where your head's at, and it depends on your niche, depends on where you are. So I hope this video finds you guys well. I was a little all over the place with some of these things, but I did pretty much get the entire message out that I needed to. So I really appreciate everyone. I'm going to be making a lot of content this week, so that way I'll have something to post multiple times a week for you guys, because we have been insanely busy with all sorts of new projects, which is why we have not been able to get out as much content as we normally can. So I appreciate everybody being patient. Keep killing it, y'all.